Okay, so today, as you saw from the thumbnail, we are working on Scooby-Doo, and I've got a lot of little examples sitting out here. These are just some of the Scoobies from my collection. So I've just got those out here to kind of just get some ideas. Um, the materials for today is just a little bit of this wire. I'm not sure what gauge it is. It's just sort of a stiff wire, but still easy to bend. We're going to make like a little skeleton out of that. And then we're going to cover it in aluminum foil just to bulk it up. And then we're going to go over it with some Sculpey clay. So I've never done anything like this before, I don't think. I have no idea how this is going to look. Just like with Toto, I started out with a little plastic dog toy and then covered that with fur, and it turned out so good. But with Scooby-Doo, he's going to go from that to whatever we come up with at the end of this video. So I'm excited to start it, but I'm also very nervous because I don't know how well I can sculpt, but I guess today we're about to find out. All right, so I've got one of the characters that will become either Shaggy or whoever, just to have as a model to decide how big Scooby should be. And I'm just going to start bending this wire into a dog shape. And I've seen people do this. I'm going to try to stand him up where I can just, oh my gosh. Okay, there we go. Where I can just decide what to do. Now, I'm just like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Okay. So I want to, all right, I want his feet to come out like that. Maybe not that big. I won't say too much of what I'm doing. I'll just do it. Y'all watch, and then we'll see what's going on. Okay. There's his front feet. And for the body, I'm going to make that a little bit stronger. Just like that. Now, I have been, of course, as you've seen, my room is like, I'm a major collector of Scooby-Doo. And even though I'm completely surrounded by a Scooby-Doo collection, I still kind of had to get in a Scooby mode. So I have been, over the weekend, I kind of binged watched the first series. I watched just about every episode. I watched the first 2 seasons and a little bit from the third season because I hadn't watched it in a while. So that's what I've got, and I want to make sure that that is absolutely posed the way that I want it to be. All right, so I've got that kind of how I want it, and it don't look like much now, but it will once I start to put the aluminum foil on it. But before I even do that, I want to make his tail. So I'm going to hold that out of frame so you don't see what I'm doing. I'm going to, let me see where I want to start. Don't know how long I want to make the tail yet, but I'm going to just wrap a piece around here to become the tail. And I'm going to keep wrapping that around just up into the backbone. All right. Just work it around. Now this part is just real fidgety. If you're sculpting something, as long as he's standing and not wiggling around, that's a big thing. Now his backbone is like, he's totally out of proportion. Like I need to make sure that's lined up pretty good. And I'm going to bend that tail. What does this tail do? I don't want it that long. And then we're going to take the world's worst aluminum foil, and this is how it's coming off the roll. It is just like stuck somehow, and I've made a scar down here trying to get it to roll off the right way, but I don't know what's happening with this. But I'm just going to start shaping this around, just trying to bulk it up, because I don't want to have to do a lot of clay. I just want to go over this with the clay so that the aluminum foil takes up a lot of the bulkiness. So pretty simple, just wrapping it around. And while I do that, or after I do this, I'll come back and see where I'm at. But I mean, you can see it's just pretty easy to wrap it, and you can, I'm going to do it kind of tight so that it's you know, squeezed in enough. I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense, but I just want to kind of make, see, you can already tell it's looking like a thicker leg. So I've learned a lot from other YouTubers when it comes to sculpting stuff. Alright, now before I get too far with the head, I just want to show what I think should be done with that. To make the head more rounded, you can take like a ball of clay, or you could just sort of take it like I'm doing and just make like a ball. Just take a big chunk of it and just sculpt it around there like that. It's really, really easy to work with this. Just fold it over and just work it in. And instead of me going down here with little thin pieces, I could take this whole big piece and just really get in there and bulk that up way quicker. I'm just kind of, you know, I mean, of course it's my first time, so I'm just kind of learning. So this is what I've come up with, and I think it looks pretty good. I think, of course, once it gets the clay on it, it's going to look way better. I need to work on this just a little bit. And at first, I thought it was way too big. I mean, if you look at the character, but there are pictures where he is sitting down. This one's standing up just a little bit, but even in pictures where he is sitting down beside the characters, he's almost as tall as Velma and the other characters. So I don't think it's too big. I think it's going to be a really good size. And of course the clay will bulk it up a little bit more. Alright, so I've rolled out some clay just with this little roller piece here. This is actually a little thing that you mash grapes and stuff with. But I've rolled it out into a pretty even little pancake, whatever you want to call this. And I don't honestly know where I want to start or how to start applying this. Oh my gosh. I guess I will kind of tear it in pieces maybe and just start wrapping. I think I want to sort of start with his feet. People that works with clay are going to probably look at this and think, you know, he should have done this or that. I don't know. I'm just kind of going to go over it little pieces at a time. And I'm going to kind of press it. You kind of want to pinch it into place. I don't know. I say you kind of want to. Like I know what I'm doing. I have no idea what I'm doing. Okay, so I just feel like I want to start with the feet. So that's what I'm doing. That one foot actually doesn't look so bad. And I do know if you get too much in one spot, you just pull it away. Now, I've worked with clay a very little bit before, so I mean, it's not too uh, strange. Now, that paper there's gonna have to stick better than that. That's really gonna get in my way. Even though he's like falling apart up here, I'm gonna go ahead and stick about half of this right over that head. I'm just gonna pinch it and then just pull away if it feels like there's too much. I didn't think he was too big to start with, and I'm hoping that this ain't gonna make him too big. I gotta get that head shape right. All right, so one thing that I've noticed as I've sat here working on this, all these little parts, like right here where there's some major creases in there where I've pieced it, the best thing to do is to go in and smooth all those parts together. Like make it look like one continuous piece. Like instead of trying to focus on one part and getting it perfect, go ahead and smooth them all together before you try to do any kind of little detail work. Just go in there and blend it all together real good. All right, I'm seeing that once I smooth those little seams around a little bit better, I'm noticing that just doing this, like just going around doing whatever this is I'm doing, that helps a lot. And it just takes a lot of this and a lot of like smoothing and a lot of pinching and squeezing little parts together. Like I'm trying to keep his ankles skinnier. Okay, so I've kind of got it the shape that I want it, and I can't really get the texture the way I want it to look. So what I think I'm going to do, I've seen a lot of people take a piece of aluminum foil just rolled up, and they just sort of do that as a texture, and I really like how that looks. Sort of. I think I just want it to kind of look like hair, and I think if I do something like that, it's going to look better. It's going to hide the fingerprints. It's going to hide, you know, a lot of the seams where I just can't get things smoothed out the way I like it. But I think that's going to give him a nice texture. So I'm going to do that all over it and see how that looks. All right, I love it. See, I've got under the belly first just to get that under part done where I can handle the outside a little bit better, or like these sides and top part, because the more I'm handling it, the more I kind of ruin that texture. But I'm loving that texture, actually. I love it so much better than trying to like get it smooth. I just think that looks way more kind of hairy looking, and Great Danes don't really have long hair, but this still just gives it a better texture. Like you can see under here, that's looking really good. I like how that looks. All right, so I thought the back legs looked a little short and dumpy, so I've added this little ball of clay here, and I'm just blending that in because I'm going to try to make that look like a knee, like maybe his knee is bent, and that's why that leg looks a little shorter. So I'm just blending that in a little bit. That looks cute. That looks like his little knee. Um, I have no idea what I'm doing with the texture. I just keep going back and forth trying to do this, to trying to smooth it back out. But I think I'll eventually get it. I just got to keep playing with it some. Looking at him, the shape of him, the shape's pretty good. I like the shape of it so far. Pretty good, I guess. I just really need to see the ears and the eyes. So I've got this little ball tool, And I think the way a lot of people do eyes is they just start with a little hole like this, and then they actually insert little round eyes. All right, so I did that, and let me see. Oh gosh, what am I doing? I want to keep that kind of smooth and pretty, but all right, let me see what this does. I have no idea if this, ooh, that's way too big. I could probably take like half of this one and break that down, because that first one was way too big. So I don't know. Oh my gosh, it's still bulging out, but I can work with that. I kind of want them to come out a little bit. Well, I don't know. I don't know what I want to do with the eyes. I'm just gonna, oh my gosh, let me just start over. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. That might be okay. That don't look like much right now, but I think once it's painted, it'll look okay. Maybe do this, and then I have absolutely no idea. I feel like I'm gonna just do this and start over again. Ugh. Okay, I gotta figure out something to do. If I even have to pull up someone else's video to sort of get ideas of how to do an eye. And a part of me just wants to draw the eye like this, and then just paint in there, but I don't want it to look like it's just sunken in. He's looking like a dinosaur. Oh my goodness. No. Okay, I'm going to, I think I was doing better with the little hole and then just put little balls back in there. Okay, so I think I've got it to something that I'm kind of happy with. And now we're just going to do 2 ears. I don't know how big to make these ears. I'm just going to maybe think that this is the ear size. So what does a Scooby ear look like? Goes up in a point. I'm going to use that little ball stylist to just dig that out there a little bit and to shape it. Let me make sure that's focused. I was really excited to find this little ball tool because everybody that does clay uses these. So I'm just going to poke that on there and use that to just sort of blend it down as I work with it. But I'm just going to put that on like this. And I think that'll work out pretty good. And then put his earlobe kind of towards the side. Alright, so I've got the ears on and I've gone kind of around those. Now I'm not done with those, but I've went around there just to try to blend it like I did the rest of the body. And then I've done the same for the nose. I've just cut, or not cut, but molded a little nose and just sort of trying to blend it down with this. Now his nose can be a little flatter, so I'm just going to reshape it and try to flatten it a little bit, which I think that just kind of made it look weird. I'm going to try to go between the eyes a little bit, get a little bit of texture. I'm liking it, and I like it enough to where I feel like I'm just about done. Don't want to just keep fooling with it too much. I feel like I'm gonna go crazy, which I may take a break here and go grab a little something to eat, or just at least get out of the room for a minute. All right, now I think the last step is to make a collar, and I've got these different ribbons, but I don't have any that is the color that I need. This little light blue color is sort of the color, but not exactly. So I'm just going to take that and paint that to more of the color it should be. I'm going to use turquoise. I don't know why I just said turquoise. I have a friend who calls it turquoise, and I always thought that's kind of funny. Um, but anyways, we're going to paint his color turquoise, and yeah, it's a really pretty color. All right, so let's see here. So I don't know. I'm just gonna make sure I've painted this really good, and I've got to go find a little loop, like a little jump loop or whatever kind of little loop to attach his little collar. Oh yeah, I have to paint that little collar, uh, little whatever you call the little badge thing. It's not a badge. What do you call a little thing that hangs on the collar? Whatever that is, I got to paint that too. So I'm gonna let this dry. I'm gonna go lay this somewhere where it can hang and dry.
Okay, so no. All right, so I've started over with the wire and I redid the aluminum full.
All right, so Scooby number 2 is looking a little bit cuter. I've been, I guess from the first one, I got some practice. I looked at it and I thought of things I wished I should have done or could have done. So I'm trying to give him more of a dimple. This little muzzle part of his nose, and just different little details that I'm working a little harder and a little bit slower on, just trying to get a cuter little face. And I think it's looking so good. It's definitely not perfect, but I'm just about to the uh, stage where I want to just call it done and just do a little bit more to it, and I'll be done with it. All right, now here are the two little. I couldn't remember what to call this earlier. I was calling it a badge, but it's a dog tag. I don't know why I couldn't think of the word tag, but Scooby's little tag. I've got two. They're kind of different. They're not exactly the same. You can, oh yeah, you can see it really good there. Um, this one will go on the one I'm actually going to use, and this one's going to go on this bigger one. They're not much different in size, but just a little bit. And they're okay. I just made them out of a piece of the clay and put a little hole in it before I baked it, so that I could put a little loop in there so that it could hook to the collar. So I'm going to put a little bit of my turquoise color on here, and then get that painted up and put on his little collar. And then I'm going to paint the other Scooby. And the other Scooby is going to be basically painted like this one. Just black acrylic paint. Paint the eyes white. I used a pink in the ear. And then I went in between the little toes with a darker brown. Now that doesn't really pick up on the camera, but in real life you can see that detail, and it just really looks good. I wished it would pick up uh, the way it does in real life, because that does look really neat. All right, now here is the final look at that first Scooby that I made, but he is just way too big. I mean, I absolutely love the face. I love the eyes. I love how small the pupils are, unlike the second one that I did. Um, I just think this has such a classic Scooby look. At the same time, I think it's complete like junk. Like, I mean, in a way, it's so bad, but in a way, it's so good. And I do love it. I'm just happy to put it in my collection and keep it as a part of my collection with all these other Scoobies that I've got. But for the final Scooby dog for the dollhouse, this is what I've got. And I think he's actually really cute. Now, the only thing is those big pupils. He just has those cute little puppy dog eyes. And I still think this looks like Scooby. He's just got puppy eyes. I just think it's so wrong, but so cute that I just don't care. I mean, I just think it's so cute. I'm so happy with how this one's turned out. Um, and I was going on about the TV show Dobie Gillis, and I was wanting to get into like some Scooby Doo history and talk about things like that through this episode. But this is going to be such a long video, and I was so focused on just trying to get this made because it was so hard, uh, and I just couldn't talk about stuff and try to focus on making this. But and I know there was things I was wanting to say about working on this. I did gloss the eyes and the nose just to make them look more wet and real. Um, I've glossed the tag on his collar just to make it look more shiny. And I don't really remember or know what I was wanting to specifically point out about it, but I do love how it looks. Now, if I can find my boy here, I'm going to stand him up next to each one real quick so you can see the size. All right, so there he is, and it's really hard to get him to stand up. Now, that's what he looks like. He's the perfect scale. I cannot wait to get one of them dressed like Shaggy. Um, but that's just such a good scale. Now, let's compare this Scooby Doo to the size. Now that looks accurate. That looks so good and just so perfect. But then you put him down here and it's like you can see how ridiculous that is. I mean, that's just not right. And when I first made that, I thought, "Oh, I'm doing so good." And then I stuck him next to it and I thought, "Oh man, that's not good." So I had to just completely start over. And I'm kind of glad I did because I do love the little face on this one. I just absolutely love it. And I'm just so glad it's done. It's kind of like the wallpaper in Dorothy's house. It was a pain to do it, and I'm just so glad it's done. And I feel like it's turned out really well. So y'all can let me know what you think about him. And so if you like this video, just if you haven't already, just like and subscribe to keep up with my Scooby-Doo house and the other houses that I'm working on. And I'll see you next time.